Congressman Moran, the politics of offshore drilling have also spilled up to Virginia.
Great to
in
see
the
you,
wake
Kwame.
of the Deepwater Horizon accident in the Gulf of Mexico. Governor Bob McDonnell is an advocate of offshore drilling. He says it could be an economic boom to Virginia. You've taken issue with how offshore drilling will affect Virginia's economy, including the parts of the economy that depend on the military. Why?
Well, absolutely. First of all, there's very little revenue to be gotten from offshore drilling. It's certainly, the reward is not worth the risk. The drilling, under ideal circumstances, might happen within 5 years or so. The revenue wouldn't begin for about a decade, long after Governor McDonnell is out of office. But then the revenue is going to be distributed to the nation as a whole. These are federal lands. They're not state lands. Somehow he thinks that a vote is going to overturn that. But if you were to look at the map of the United States, you'd realize there's a lot more inland states than there are coastal states. So it's not going to change. Virginia will get very little of the revenue. But most importantly, it jeopardizes the military's presence, which represents tens of thousands of jobs and ultimately billions of dollars to the Commonwealth of Virginia.
How does it jeopardize the military jobs?
Well, let me explain. That's thank you for asking, Tom.
Okay, I thought maybe you were going to continue on. I hadn't heard that argument. So.
Thank you for asking. There's what's called a Virginia Capes area where the Navy conducts some of its most important and sensitive exercises. And the area that is designated for drilling is right smack in the middle of that area. They could not conduct those exercises. There are submarines, there are munitions exercises, there are all kinds of things that I probably shouldn't get into all of them, but they're terribly important, and you can't do both. The overlay of what's called Lease Sale 220, which is the area that the governor that has been approved for drilling, is right in the middle, and it would preclude the Navy's exercise, which means that if the governor insists upon going ahead, the Navy's going to have to find some alternative, which means that they would invariably have to move those operations to some other coastal area off the coast of Florida or whatever. Now, they haven't said that because they're assuming that more rational heads are going to prevail. We're not going to interfere with those operations. But that also means that we will not be drilling offshore, at least in the area that's been designated to date.
If you have questions for Virginia Congressman Jim Moran about offshore drilling in Virginia or anything else, you can call us at 800-433-8850 or go to our website, kojoshow.org, and raise questions there. How has the debate about offshore drilling in Virginia shifted since the spill in the Gulf?
I don't know. I don't know the extent to which it has shifted. I mean, I feel the same way I did long before the spill in the Gulf. I would hope that some other folks realize that what we were talking about was not some kind of scare tactic. It was a very real threat. If you're drilling in deep waters, the ability to prevent a leak and then to be able to clean it up is much more difficult. And the area we're talking about off the shore of Virginia is in the Gulf Current, which means if there were to be a leak comparable to what has happened in the Gulf oil spill, it would carry the oil right up to Maryland, Delaware, the Rhode Island into Cape Cod. It would get caught in the current. I would hope people now realize that this is a very serious threat, not only to tourism, to fishing, but also to the entire ecology of the United States. If this oil spill, which we think is much greater than what has been indicated of 5,000, it could be a magnitude of 10,000. If it gets caught in the current that's in the Gulf, it could go around the tip of Florida and into the Everglades, which would be absolutely catastrophic for our ecology for generations to come.